Many more uncounted ballots than originally reported. Our campaign, along with our attorney, Barry Richard, you may remember from the recount in Tallahassee in 2000, is monitoring the situation closely and is ready for any outcome, including a state-mandated recount. Mayor Gillum started his campaign for the people, and we are committed to ensuring every single vote in Florida is counted. Now, since this show has started, I've been texted by political operatives on the left and the right who have been getting bombarded by emails that say recount alert, recount update, basically all asking for money for lawyers from both sides to flood to Florida. Here we go again. Let's bring in our panel. Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Catherine Lucy, White House reporter for the Associated Press. And national security analyst Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, you have a special Florida connection.
I think I'm fourth or fifth generation Floridian, and I worked for then President Bush in 2004, and I'm Congressman Adam Putnam. So work campaigns there and know what an interesting state it is.
It is. It's a fascinating state. It always comes down, it seems, to one point in big contentious races.
To make it dramatic.
But this is really interesting. With all of the different issues in Florida, you have, among other things, Puerto Ricans who came from Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, American citizens who had the right to register, and some 200,000 plus apparently did. And there are all kinds of questions about Hurricane Michael and what that did to affect the ballots in Bay County and other places. Thoughts?
So there's two things that we excel at in Florida. It's hurricanes and recounts. So this is the season for both of those things. I think what's going on here is this is almost, at this point, it's almost a second election within an election. And we've really moved past, the general election. This is going to be coming down to legal, as you just said, lawyers and PR strategy. I think the one thing that the Florida recount has in common with the Arizona recount and with the Georgia recount is Republicans on the Senate and governor's races are ahead in all of these. So I think that there's a big lesson to be learned here from the Democrat side as it relates to Florida is you really saw the Republican machine that Rick Scott has built over the past 8 years of being governor really come out here. DeSantis ran a good race, but Rick Scott has really been in charge of building up this Republican machine. So what you're going to see, again over this next week is this is going to be a court battle. This is going to be a PR strategy. I'm sure you're going to continue to get texts as it goes back and forth. I think that we will likely still, when you look at what's happening in Broward County, and I challenge everyone to look at Senator Rubio's comments, his tweets on this afternoon. He detailed, and Politico has talked about this, he linked to several articles about the corruption of the Broward County and that elections office. So you're going to hear really wild stories. I think that what will happen is in the end, the Republicans for governor and for Senate will still come out ahead. Although we are seeing the statewide office of agriculture commissioner, which is very important in Florida, that the Democrat is actually ahead now.
Catherine, we're just getting word that Rick Scott is going to speak in Tallahassee at 8:15 tonight, pushing back on Democrats' recount efforts and calls. It's not really a choice in Florida. It's automatic if it's under 0.5%.
It's automatic, although I think the person behind could waive the recount or challenge it. But yeah, it's an automatic recount that happens. And I think the political story here is very interesting as well, which is the results of this have a lot of influence on 2020. This is a state that the president took in 2016. He wants to keep Republican control. Obviously, that sends a message. It means he has people in the right jobs going into that race, the influence. And I think coming out of this midterm, one of the big stories of this midterm was that we're seeing sort of a sorting of where Republicans and Democrats are in this country and which states, where states fall. And Florida is still a true swing state. That's what we're seeing with potentially 3 recounts coming right down to the wire. This is the state that's going to continue to be a huge battleground.
I spent 40 days and 40 nights in Tallahassee in 2000, bouncing from courtroom to courtroom and looking at hanging chads. This could take a while.
We all had that moment, I think, this afternoon of flashback. Here's the difference, and it's in the margin. So there's about 17,000 votes right now in the Senate race. It's even larger in the gubernatorial race. In 2000, it was hundreds of votes. It's very rare for a recount to shift the decision that we find on election night. The last high prominent one was in 2008, Minnesota Senate, Norm Coleman versus Al Franken. There too, it was a shift of several hundred votes, under 1,000. So while I'm looking for the votes to appear that will